I think with just life in general, like people don't realize the difference in cultures, you know, just from relationship standpoint, just me being married to my wife, like my family is not going to do the same thing as her family. And these kids experience the same thing. They don't know like where you're from, what you talk, your language. So like what's great about this school, knows, is like we're a dual language school, you know, so like we have Spanish speaking kids, non-Spanish speaking, but you could put your kid in dual language from kinder all the way fifth, and they're literally like fluent in Spanish. So I've learned more Spanish just working here than I did in college. And if I need a translator, I'm like, I'll just grab a student and be like, hey, help me say this. And they could be like 5, 6 years old in kindergarten, like with a better accent than me. And it just shows you like we're all different. And there's so many other countries that we come from. Just even in the Asian community, you know.
Yeah, it's so
like,
diverse.
Everybody's different. It's great that we're different. Like, be together, be a melting pot, and like, we're all the same. You know, elementary, you always gotta do that talk like, hey, we're all the same. You know, we'll be boring. Like, we're not gonna make fun of someone who's different.
Hello, friends. I'm here today with distinguished educator and NOS staff member, Coach Austin Prum. Austin has been with LISD for 11 years and is one of the reasons why our district is held in such high regard by so many students and parents. So, Coach, I want to thank you for joining us today as we celebrate and observe Asian American Pacific Islander Month.
Yes, happy to be here.
No, we are very honored to have you today, and I know that our listeners and our viewers will find value in our discussion.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
So, how do you feel about us just jumping in and having the conversation?
Oh, man, I'm ready.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, can you tell us about who you are as a person and as a practitioner, with a focus on where did you grow up and what do you remember most about your childhood?
Oh, man, so I'm first generation in America, you know. My family's originated from Cambodia. And I was actually born and raised in Austin, Texas. You know, we're actually being very rare nowadays.
Yes,
like
you are one of the few.
New York City melting
Austinites.
pot, yeah. So, but, you know, I'm living out here in Leander now. So when I travel to Austin, I'm like, well, I don't recognize the city anymore. It's a difference. But, you know, from a big family, youngest of 7, and started coaching gymnastics and cheer, you know, went to the corporate world of Austin, Texas, like being a recruiter. And I was like, something's missing, you know, like I'm helping people, but I miss kids, you know.
You wanted more of a connection.
I wanted more of that connection. And I feel like as a teacher, doctor, lawyer, like if you're meant to do that, you're meant to do that. There's no other way around it. So I was like, well, I love working with kids. I love, you know, fitness and stuff like that. Well, put it together, maybe an elementary PE teacher. I was like, you know, I could see myself doing that. So, you know, by the grace of God, it led me here to Leander. And past 11 years, that's what I've been doing.
Wow. No, I know what you mean about you have to feel that you're called to do something. I've often said over my career, I've had many different titles, but the greatest title I've held was that of teacher. I loved everything about being a classroom teacher, and it's not a day goes by I don't miss that connection that you reference to the young people and how it feels you, because I know the time I spent with students will be with me for the rest of my days.
It's just like, it's very impactful. Like I still remember days of just me being in high school and teachers that impacted me, you know, like my U.S. history teacher was just, he treated us like young adults. Yeah. And it was just more of a hey, you're, be responsible,
more of a collaborative
connection. Like I respect you as a person, but I also expect a lot out of you because you're very capable. And that's like what I push on to my students every day.
Yeah, because I think it's important for our young people to know that we see them and we believe in the promise that they bring each and every day. And that takes me to a point that we spent a lot of time since I've been here talking about, and that's cultural competency, being able to see the individual child and pull out what's important for them and connect that to your practice so that when they leave us better than how they arrived.
And that's one good thing that the District of Leander does, you know, the way they just accommodate the avocation of a kid, like the whole child, every child, you know. And working here at Knowles, Title I, you know, I was that kid, you know, like I didn't have the resources. I didn't have like all this stuff where backpack buddies where we give food to the kids on the weekends, you know, like my kids need shoes, safe shoes, tennis shoes. So I made a post one time, I was like, I'm buying shoes for students. And I a lot of friends reached out and was like, hey, I would love to donate. I was like, oh, we can always use something for these kids. Kids need it. Like, I know I needed it growing up. I wish I had more, and all I can do is do it for this generation now.
Exactly. Each of us has a contribution to make. And I love the community spirit. I mean, when we ask our community to help, I'm always impressed by how many people come forward. So from your childhood, is there one particular memory that sticks out for you as your favorite or one of your favorite memories from your childhood?
Oh, man. So, I had a lot of freedom as a child because my mom was, a single mother from another country, trying to make ends meet, working like, I kid you not, 100 hours a week.
I believe that.
Back in the day, one of my oldest brother, dropped out of high school freshman year to just help work. So we were just surviving, so like, and, growing up, single household, single parent, no father figure really. I think one of the best moments I had, which is kind of where it was like, I taught myself how to ride a bike.
Wow.
But it was like, in the projects. It was a friend's bike. I don't know why he loaned it to me the whole time. It was a rinkety bike. The chain was falling off. I mean, I'm short. So like as a kid, I'm very short. I think it took me all day just to get on the bike from using a curb.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, I'm on the bike. Oh man, I just ran into a car.
Yes.
Or hey, I'm on the bike. Now the chain fell off. I'm doing a front flip over the bike. But I was just so happy like I'm riding a bike.
How old were you?
I know it was in elementary. Couldn't be no older than maybe second grade.
Yeah.
And then, but I was wearing these white jeans.
So you remember that?
Yeah, because they were dark black afterwards. And my mom found it in the laundromat, and she wasn't happy. But she didn't mention it until after she started spanking me. And I was like, what? I just did something great. I rode a bike, and I'm getting spanked. But, that memory was pretty cool because, like...
You did something for yourself.
I did something for myself. I had to learn for myself, So, like, me being an adult, an educator, a father now, it's like...
Yeah.
What would I have wanted as a kid growing up? Let me be that person that young me would have wanted in their life. So that's what I get to do with these kids. My son, be consistent, like just trying to teach them stuff, giving them that extra boost that they need.
So, Coach, I love what you said about learning to do for self. That's one of the things that in Leander we want each and every student to experience, the joy and the sense of accomplishment that comes from doing for self. And to me, that's one of the most compelling parts about being an educator. We have the opportunity to help students experience that.
Yes, it always starts with just being consistent. I like to tell these kids, like, I won't be around forever. Like, you're going to go to middle school. I can help you with these problems. I can't solve it for you because there's a day comes like you have to do it. I know it's not easy. I can help you get there. But one day, like, you have to do it by yourself. And it just gives you, like, this confidence. Like, I can't take that away from them because once you do it and accomplish it, like, it just feels great.
I was talking to my wife the other day about when I played basketball in sixth grade, I wasn't really good. So most of my sixth grade year, I spent the entire time on the bench. But that summer, going into my seventh grade year, I committed myself to going to the playground early in the morning, practicing my jump shot, practicing my dribbling skills. And I was a starter for seventh grade. And a sense of achievement that I felt because I set a goal, and with the help of a lot of people that summer, coaches who helped me, we had summer programs, I was able to fulfill that ambition of being a starter. And I think there's so many lessons that educators can help young people understand about that sense of self, because what you said also resonates with me. There will come a point when we won't be there for them, and we want to make sure that they are equipped for that moment. And I think teachers are uniquely suited for that. And that's why I loved being a teacher.
Oh, yeah, man, DeWayne, I can share so many basketball stories with you. Ball is life, but just a similar story, not basketball, just being a homeowner.
Yes.
And garbage disposal, just messing up.
Yes.
Hey, YouTube Academy.
That's right.
That's like,
That's right.
I went on there, and I was cranking it, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to call this plumber again and spend some money. I was like, no, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Crank it, turn on a switch, and it just buzzed, and I was like,
that's right.
Let's go. Like,
that's right.
And I was like, it was huge for me. Like, I'm still doing it myself. Like, I'm learning. Like,
yes.
I don't know. I don't never owned a house before. I got to fix this stuff.
Yeah, I haven't fixed a garbage disposal. Exactly.
I felt accomplished right there in that moment.
I still struggle putting IKEA furniture together, but that's another story. So
hey, they give you extra parts anyway.
So you kind of talked about this, but I want to draw it out a little bit more. When did you know you wanted to be a teacher?
When did I know? Oh, man. So just coaching gymnastics and cheer since I was 19.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, man, I'm like really happy. Like, this is fun. Like, I'm learning. Kids are just so free and innocent and just so happy to be around. And then me graduating college, and I was like, I need to grow up. So I went to the corporate world, like, oh, that's what I need to do. Like, I need a real job. Everyone keeps telling me I need a real job. So I went that route. It wasn't a bad route. Like, I could see myself doing it, but then I was like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm in the office all day.
Right.
And at the time I was still coaching these cheerleaders on the side because, I wanted to finish, and I was only doing it for like an hour after like a 10-hour workday. And I was like, wow, this 1 hour, I'm really happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to do this. Like, this is what I do in my life. And what's funny was one of the cheerleaders' mom knew a principal at another school and was like, hey, I heard you want to, maybe apply. I told him about you. And then he like called me, and it's just God's plan,
That's how it all happened.
That's how it happens. And I just knew it, I wake up every day like, I'm going to work.
Yes.
Like, I'm not like, I want to be the lucky ones that like, you spend a huge chunk of your life working, I want to be happy in those X amount of years, because that is a big X amount of years,
a huge amount of time out of your life.
Yeah.
It is. No, and I know exactly how you feel. I mean, if you believe in what you're doing and you have a sense of fulfillment because of that, you really don't feel like you're working. And I'm not a romanticist when it comes to that. We all have difficult days, but when you love what you do, those difficult days are not what you remember. Like, I remember my 17 years teaching. I don't remember the difficult days as much as I remember the connections I made with students. And so let me ask you this question. When you've been teaching now 12 years, I believe, total.
About to be 12, yeah.
About to be 12 years. When you think about the impact that you want your practice to have on your students, what comes to mind for you?
Just there's a lot of core memories, like Miss Hardy knows, like, I taught all her daughters. The youngest one here is a 5th grader. The oldest is going to come do her senior walk. And I still remember the days where she'll come to my office and talk to me. I mean, kids still email me in middle school and I go to their games. Like, so I must have done something right for them wanting me to be a part of their lives. And I've seen them since kinder. I taught families, and it just like gives my heart a lot of joy when we're about to have another senior walk, and like they'll come up to me like, hey, do you still do this? I remember when we did that, and like, I'm going to college now, I'm doing this. Like, just to hear their stories, there's so much just opportunity for them. Like, if I can help in any sort of way, or it's just any of us like being more experienced, you just love to see them just take that next level. Like, me watching a kindergarten kid all the way to 5th grade, I'm like, you know me since you're 5. Like,
exactly.
You know how we do the gym, how I operate. Like, I expect a lot of you, but we have a good relationship. You can talk to me about anything.
Right. No, I would agree. Last week, I received an email from a student I had over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it was absolutely humbling. This young person, I taught in Beloit, Wisconsin, which is one of the most economically marginalized places in the free world. And so this was an under-resourced, I would even say resource-poor community. But this young man wrote me, he found me, sent it to my work email, and he talked about what we did as teacher and student and how that resonated with him even 20 years on. He's a homeowner. I'm sure he's fixing his garbage disposal. He served in the U.S. military. He's married. He went back to the community as an executive for a local company. And now he is making an impact as a mentor in that community. So when I think about the impact of my practice, and you and I share this, we want them to continue to grow, continue to chase their dreams, and then help others do the same thing. And once again, that's why I had many career titles over my 30-plus year career, but the greatest one was teacher for me. And I love also something you said, it was a U.S. history teacher that you remember.
Yeah.
I was a U.S. history teacher, so I don't find that hard to believe.
Yeah,
we're not bad people.
I liked history because it's a story.
It is.
So you can just kind of remember all those stories, not the important dates, but like what transpired.
Yes.
But yes, the different types of just leading and passing that on, the knowledge, and like they remember that stuff. Like, it's they'll remember it for like, hopefully when they're like in their 60s, 70s.
Exactly. So what brought you to Leander, and why do you stay in our community? We're so fortunate to have people like you, but what attracted you to Leander?
Well, Leander, is one of the biggest, growing, fastest districts, and like, well, my job is so specialized, everybody wants it. Like, if you're the PE teacher at elementary school, like, everyone loves you. Like, they love you. Like, you're like, you can't even walk down kindergarten. If you want to feel better about yourself, you walk down kindergarten hallway. Yeah. And then it just, it gave me the great opportunity. And I came here, I learned, I'm still learning every day. I think by year 5, I thought I was great at what I did. And then a different set of kids will come along and be like, you don't know anything about education. I was like, I have to learn again. I'm getting too comfortable, I'm stopped growing. So let me keep growing. They provide so many PDs, I can meet with other PE teachers that mentored me when I first got here. And now I'm the veteran and I'm mentoring all these younger PE teachers. Like, this is how I do this. You come to my gym. So it's like you said, everyone wants to, like, you're always going to want to help and pass on that knowledge. And I feel like I'm in that veteran level where I can kind of pass on that knowledge,
That's right. Yeah, you've seen a lot of stuff in your 11 years, and the people who work with you, they benefit from that. But also, like what you said too, the students and their impact on us as professionals is significant. I learned so much from my students every couple of years. They changed. Like my first 5 years, I agree with what you said. I thought, okay, I got this. And then you get a new set of students and you realize that the things that you did for the first 5 years, they're not as relevant as they once were. So now you have to learn more. Exactly.
Every person is different, so.
Every student is different, and I won't say generation, but every subset of a generation brings a different dynamic. And that's one of the things that I think keeps us growing as educators. So let me ask you a question that's somewhat related to education, because, we have music education here, but it's more of a personal question.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite piece of music, and where did you first hear it?
All-time favorite piece of music? So, that's tough, man. I mean, I grew up in, Austin, kind of in the hood, East. I went to W Middle School, learned how to play some ball. So I was always around that, 90s R&B and hip-hop. And I guess I'm that old guy now, still jamming out to some 90s R&B. Not saying the music here is not as good, but, I guess
we can say it.
I'm in unk mode, so I'm like, who is that artist? Like, but yeah, so that's just all 90s, like 90s stuff, early 2000s. But, I mean, I still listen to R&B. I mean, I even caught myself listening to, like, the Temptations the other day. My genre of music is like a crazy shuffle on a.
So is mine.
Yeah, I can I could go to country. I can go hip hop. I can go rock, 80s rock. Like, I appreciate all kinds of music.
So do I. So do you have one song that when you think about the 90s, it's that one song that comes to mind? There were so many great artists.
There's so many.
Yeah, there were so many.
I
mean, I think about groups like Guy. Teddy Riley, and they had this unique sound, and I think about them, and I love what you mentioned about the Temptations. I love 70s music. It reminds me of riding around with my uncles, listening to 8-tracks, and, so I can appreciate that. I like country music, and when I work out, a lot of people don't know this, I listen to either light jazz or soundtrack music. I love soundtrack music, so. Yeah,
man, when I work out, they think I'm going hard with some hip-hop and rock. I'll listen to some Boyz II Men in the gym,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it depends on what you want to listen to and how it impacts you and how it determines whether or not you complete the workout. Because to me, the music has to allow me to complete the workout.
There's no worse feeling than going to the gym and forgetting your headphones.
Oh, yes.
I'm sitting in that car rethinking my whole life like this, and I'll call my wife, can you just please drop off my it's not the same. I can't listen.
No,
I zone it out, Like, I love what I do. I teach in kids, but my break is that's for my personal escape, my health, and like, I mean, I tell the kids to work out, I'm going to work out with them, I'm not just going to sit there and not try to be in shape PE teacher,
And working out for me, has become spiritual at this point. But I can appreciate what you said about not having your earbuds. Like, I would take a run and I forget to charge mine, and then they die.
Terrible.
Oh, that's a horrible thing.
Do I keep running?
Yes. Do I stop? I mean,
I'm gonna go to the house.
Yeah.
Man.
So as we observe Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, why is it important for the one LISD community to observe and celebrate this month, in your opinion?
Well,
what are some of the lessons that we can learn from this month?
I mean, I think with just life in general, like people don't realize the difference in cultures, just from relationship standpoint, just me being married to my wife, like my family is not going to do the same thing as her family. And these kids experience the same thing. They don't know like where you're from, what you talk, your language. So like what's great about this school knows is like we're a dual language school, so like we have Spanish speaking kids, non-Spanish speaking, but you could put your kid in dual language from kinder all the way fifth, and they're literally like fluent in Spanish. So I've learned more Spanish just working here than I did in college. And if I need a translator, I'm like, I'll just grab a student and be like, hey, help me say this.
Right.
And they could be like 5, 6 years old in kindergarten, like with the better accent than me. And it just shows you like we're all different. And there's so many other countries that we come from.
Yes.
Just even in the Asian community,
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
so diverse.
very diverse, I mean, and people don't realize, like kids don't realize that. And I was asking, like, we count in Spanish. Sometimes I'm like, hey, count in any other language you want. And then I'll hear kids counting in German and French. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like everybody's different. It's great that we're different. Like be together, be a melting pot. And like, if we're all the same, elementary, you always got to do that talk like, hey, if we're all the same, we'll be boring. Like, we're not going to make fun of someone who's different.
Everyone brings value, right?
Everybody.
No. And so we were talking before we started recording. So your family is originally from Cambodia.
Originally from Cambodia.
Yes. And we were talking about traveling to Asia. I've studied in Asia a couple of times. The diversity of Asia is just overwhelming sometimes. And so any chance we get to educate kids about the diversity within communities, I think we should always take that opportunity.
Yeah, it's complicated for myself. When we had our wedding, like our Khmer Cambodian wedding, and we just did a fraction of the traditions, like the clothing. I remember my mom changing me like 3 different times.
Really? Wow.
In the traditional outfits, which was great, awesome, my wife. And then we like went outside like as if we were in the villages, and like you give your offerings to the family, be like, hey, I want to marry your daughter and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And it was new for me. Like I don't know, like in my community, in my heritage, like you want to satuk your elders and stuff like that. And I've taught that to my son, which is like 3, and he'll do that to like my mom. So I'm like, I got to pass that down. Like he's got to know that stuff.
I agree. Yes, because that's part of who he is, right? Yeah, because I believe, I would always tell my students this, no matter who you are, once you know your history, no one else can ever lie to you, because you know who you are, you know where you come from, and that's the power of history. I know one of the most liberating things for me as a human being was when I had the privilege of teaching African-American history, which allowed me to learn so much about myself and the history of the people that I come from, which to your earlier point, I did not know. But when I started teaching that, it gave me a sense of confidence and a sense of empowerment that has been with me ever since. So we want that for each and every student here. Know your history, know who you are, and no one can ever lie to you.
Yeah, don't be ashamed of it. That's well said. Like when you start teaching, and then like that's how I do my program. Like I'll teach, and the next day I'll be like, you teach.
Yes.
And I'll let them go on the stage and they'll lead, and they just like love it. Then they start sounding like me, like do this. I'm like, whoa.
Start imitating the coach.
Yeah, they start imitating. I'm like, man, you're gonna be a good teacher if you grow up.
So, is there anything else in the time we have that you would like to share with the community about who you are, about what drives you, anything at all you like to share with us?
The only thing I'd like to share is, I'm just out here trying to do my best. I'm not perfect by any means. I've made a lot of mistakes.
None of us are. All of us are.
Yeah, especially as an educator, and I learn every day, like, how to be better. Becoming a dad really helped me become, like, a very good teacher, because, one, you got to be patient. Teaching is not easy.
Teaching is
Elementary is
hard.
not easy. This is control chaos in the gym. If they can't be wild and crazy in here,
Right.
where can they be? So like, I give them a lot of, like, I let them do this, but like just having my own son and be like, would I want to be a teacher for my son?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and these are someone's babies out there
Yes, they are.
and they need to be loved no matter what. So
How old is your son?
he's 3.
Oh, yeah.
He's all boy. I love it. Like, but he's pretty smart. I don't know if it's just him, but I don't know. He's too smart sometimes.
No, what you said also resonates with me. We all, as teachers, teaching is hard. One of the most difficult things I did was when I committed myself to getting better as a practitioner. That was hard work. If you want to be a good teacher, it is hard work. And you start to realize that it truly is about refining your practice. And you will make mistakes. And that's why one of the things I was exposed to early on, which I try to bring into every engagement I have with staff, is that the concept of reflective practice. And all that says is that the goal is to be better tomorrow than I am today. And once I figured that out as a teacher, my growth became geometric because I realized it was okay for me to make mistakes as long as I learned from those and continue to get better. So I can completely identify, because there were times when I went home, I was like, I'm not going back. I was just so overwhelmed the first couple years that you teach because it's hard.
It's especially those first 2 to 3 years.
Oh, it's hard. And the kids will let you know if you're not getting it done. They will let you know. So it's very difficult. So, Coach, I want to thank you for being our guest today. Your sincerity, your professionalism, and your enthusiasm are emblematic of every staff member that we have here. And we are so fortunate to have you in our community and in our schools. So thank you again for being our guest today.
And thank you for having me. This is fun. I can do this like every week.
We may have you back. Thank you.
I'll be here.
All right.